I want to continue. Of course, I'm not paying. Schwab is. It's their new checking account. Schwab refunds all ATM fees at any ATM. Plus, they are giving me this ridiculously high interest rate. I mean, my money was just sitting in my old checking account, just kind of sitting there.
Next.
When the market moves, we're on it.
Bringing you the ups and downs of the day.
We've got our ear to the street on Fox Business.
Do you have a crushing tax debt? Is the IRS threatening to seize your wages or assets? Thousands of taxpayers just like you have turned to Tax Incorporated for help. Our attorneys will fight to slash your tax debt and stop aggressive IRS collections fast. If you owe the IRS or state more than $10,000 in tax debt, call our trusted legal team of tax relief experts for help. We can stop crippling wage garnishments and bank levies, file overdue tax returns, negotiate business payroll tax, and remove penalties and interest fast. Recent settlements include savings of $65,000. $95,000, and Stephen G. saved over $1.5 million after hiring Tax Incorporated. Don't take chances with this one-time opportunity to settle your tax debt. If you owe the IRS or state more than $10,000, put Tax Incorporated's legal team to work for you today and get the fresh start you deserve. Call now for a free consultation.
Welcome back to the opening bell. 8 minutes to go. Let's go down to the New York Stock Exchange to Nicole Petallides for a preview. Good morning, Nicole.
Good morning, Alexis, and Happy New Year, everybody. Well, it's looking like stocks will open slightly to the upside. Of course, we have a lot of news that's coming out today. We're going to be hearing from the meeting, from the FOMC meeting. We'll be getting those minutes at 2 p.m. Eastern time. That's something that the markets will be watching. Also, we'll be getting some payroll data tomorrow. We'll also be hearing from the Fed Vice Chairman Donald Cohen this week as well. So those are some news that could move the markets. As far as some stocks to watch this week, right? What's left of it? Let's start off with Boeing. They won an order for some 737s. Also, United Technologies working on a new solar power plant. UTX is ticker symbol on that one. So keep an eye on that, especially now as we see the dollar moving as well. Kroger actually talking about maybe doing some business in India. They have been meeting with some Indian counterparts to maybe do a joint venture over there. Not for retail, but actually for some real estate, and then later maybe they'll move into retail. Also, Hess, I did get the UBS note this morning. They are downgraded to a neutral from a buy, and that's on some significant outperformance, so maybe now is just some time to take some money back. Also, Textron, that's at the Citi. I did get the Citi note today, downgraded on valuation. Also, the 2008 REIT outlook, that's also in the Citi note, basically saying for the near term, REITs could be tricky, but hey, for the long term, if you look out on the horizon, you could see some good news. Also from the NASDAQ, you'll probably be hearing about a downgrade for IAC Interactive and an upgrade for Amazon. So those are some of the stocks to watch this first trading day of the new year. Alexis.
All right, thanks so much, Nicole. Now let's get to London, where a Fox Business contributor, Dominic Di-Natale, has the latest. Good morning again, Dominic.
Hey Alexis, how you doing there? Now then, we're quite buoyant over here in Europe at the moment. Stock's up around 0.75 of 1% at the moment, and that's on the back of rising commodity prices with the likes of oil up today and metals up as well. So we're seeing some rises for the oil stock sector. BP up more than 1% at the moment, and also BHP Billiton, a mining stock, higher after copper prices rose over here. So BHP Billiton up about 0.5% at the moment. A great way to start the new year. There's a lot of doubt about, however. Even one of our biggest business leaders says that 2008 could be a bumpy ride for both investors and companies. All the same, investors still buying into that market. Financials looking a bit interesting as well. Some people think those have got rather cheap as well. Look out for the dollar, though. That's still diving against the euro. Worries about manufacturing in the United States and the growth of the US economy means not that many people need to buy dollars because they're not going to be making that many investments over in the United States in 2008. So mixed feelings. There we go. Alexis,
all right, thanks so much, Dominic. Time now for round 4, about 5 minutes to the bell. How will 2008 treat the stock market? Let's get started with Connell.
In general, you mean overall?
Yeah, what do you think?
I think, I agree with what Aaron said at the beginning, that the market is going to do pretty well in 2008. kind of bucking the trend of what a lot of people see here, that we'll probably get a bounce back. Now, in today's session, I think it's interesting to watch some of the financials. I was going to, Citigroup in particular, Dick Beauvais at Punk's Eagle keeps a buy rating on Citigroup, and you got to think, and somebody's going to make a lot of money buying these financials at some point, probably this year.
Especially at these valuations.
Yeah.
All right, guys, let's really look ahead at today. Ray, what are you looking at?
I think what you're going to see is a lot in the small and mid cap range, for the year. I think today, Connell's right. If the financials kind of can show some leadership today, that sets a really good, strong tone for the rest of the year, because they've been a lag, and I think getting there is going to be once these guys, once we know what the assets on their books are, once we're through the subprime thing, I think the valuations on a lot of these companies, you look at something like an Ambac, which is only trading at 3 times earnings. I mean, you're going to see a lot of people come in and bottom fish here.
Adam, some big Fed news today. Tell us about that.
We're going to get the FOMC minutes from December 11th at 2 o'clock this afternoon. We're going to get an idea of what they were thinking when they cut interest rates and what they may be thinking as to where we're headed in the future. And then on Friday, we're going to get some jobs numbers. So everyone's going to be paying attention to that as well.
Robert, what about you? What are you looking at today?
I'm going to watch some of the defensive names, your consumer staples companies, the Procter & Gamble's today in the early part of the year, as well as big cap tech, which it looks like it's still poised to outperform again this year.
Aaron, what are you looking at?
Big cap tech for the year. I like growth stocks, like big cap stocks. And for today, the chip sector is going to be a focus. Bank of America downgrading a number of chip stocks, including AMD, which is down 62% last year. Now Bank of America is telling us to sell it. I think it's a little bit late to be selling some of these chip names.
Everybody every year talks about large cap growth at the beginning of the year. What about the small cap names? Or what about the Russell? We never talk about those names.
Well, actually, 2007 was the first year in 5 or 6 where the big cap stocks did outperform, and I think you're starting to see a switch over because the bull market is in its later cycle. The global economy is slowing down, and people want to be in the bigger, more liquid names, and I think that's why they're going to gravitate towards those big cap stocks.
Safe havens. All right. Thanks very much, Aaron. All right. We're just minutes away from the market open. We'll have live coverage next. You won't want to miss it. 2.5 minutes to go before the opening bell.
Find out what a rollover means to your retirement at FINRA.org, a not-for-profit resource with nothing for sale. Learn more at FINRA.org.
Save 50%. Call your travel agent or 1-800-SANDALS.
If you have diabetes, then you know what this is. It's your lifeline. Luckily for us, these new meters are more accurate, they're easier to use, and the best news is you don't have to prick your fingers anymore. Access Diabetic Supply will send you one of these new meters, no charge. And if you have Medicare, your testing supplies may also be covered. Call Access now to see if you qualify.
Find out what a bear market means to your money at FINRA.org, a not-for-profit resource with nothing for sale. Learn more at FINRA.org.
Tonight, it's the first business day of the year, and we're kicking it off with the best stocks and investment tips for 2008, plus how you could make it the best investment year ever. Make a resolution that'll pay off. Watch Cavuto.
Welcome back to the opening bell. 30 seconds to go. At the big board this morning, the CEO of the New York Stock Exchange and Euronext, Duncan Niederauer, is ringing the bell to mark the first day of trading for 2008. And over at the NASDAQ, my friend Donnie Deutsch, the chairman of his own advertising agency and host of The Big Idea, he's ringing the bell over at the NASDAQ. All right, well, you hear the bell ringing. The markets are open. How are things looking? Let's turn to Nicole Petallides down at the exchange. Good morning, Nicole.
Good morning again, Alexis. Right now, just crossing the wire, I'm taking a look at National City. The ticker symbol is NCC, talking about cutting its quarterly dividend to 21 cents from 41 cents. Also saying that National City Mortgage is shutting down a wholesale mortgage division. The headlines just keep crossing on this one, and that reducing the headcount by 3,400 positions. They have done that. So do keep an eye on this particular stock today. Also, of course, we're just kicking off a new year. This after the fourth quarter was a tough one, but we did end with all the indices to the plus side. Right now, we're to the upside right now, up about 2 points here on Wall Street. Some of the names to watch, of course, Citi coming out and talking about Textron, downgrading this one on valuation, but saying that the outlook is still bright. Also talking about PG&E. PCG is the ticker symbol on that one, and they're upping it to a buy. And don't forget, on December 21st, they did come out on a conference call and basically reassuring their numbers for 07 and 08. So keep an eye on that one, of course. Also another, and of course from the NASDAQ, we'll be talking about IAC Interactive and Amazon. Take a look at Potash. That's another one. Potash now, this one has just been, it always seems to pop up on my screen. And this one is indicated to open to the upside. The last trade on that one was 143.96, looking to open higher, 147 to 152. This is a specialty chemicals maker used in food products and industrial processes. So that's another one to watch. Keep an eye on Boeing and United Technologies, as each of those have come out with some news. Kroger also talking about expanding abroad. Hess being downgraded to a neutral from a buy. This is in the UBS note, basically on significant outperformance. So keep an eye on these names. Of course, we have Blackstone, PHH, and GE. So these are all the names to watch today. Citi also in the news today. And that's what we are watching as we kick it off. We're getting the FOMC minutes this afternoon. That'll be key. And of course, we're always watching oil, which really we saw crude just soar last year, and gold as well. So keep an eye on these commodities as well. Back to you, Alexis.
All right. Thanks very much, Nicole. Shibani Joshi is live at the NASDAQ with the latest on early trading there. Good morning, Shibani.
Hi, good morning, Alexis, and Happy New Year to you. Today, the NASDAQ's kicking off 2008 in positive territory so far. You know, what's going to be interesting about today is you're going to see a lot of cash and capital and investors returning to the market, and based on what these investors do, we're going to get a good snapshot and gauge for the temperature of 2008 and what the markets should hold. Already in play this morning, I'm watching stocks like Qualcomm. Qualcomm, the wireless tech developer, already moving down today on news that it got a court order to stop selling cell phone chips because of patent infringement. So you're seeing that is a big blow to that stock. Shares of Qualcomm are trading down lower. We've got names like EchoStar and, of course, all the big names in tech like Cisco, Oracle, Yahoo, Microsoft. Amazon in play today after getting an upgrade to a buy from a hold from Citigroup. Citigroup saying that it is a core internet stock. And Citigroup expects double-digit profit growth for 2008. One other thing I want to note that, of course, the key ISM report coming out at 10:30 is going to be interesting to watch because any unexpected changes could move the market. So I'm going to be keeping my eyes peeled for that at 10:30. And of course, we'll be watching all of the stock action here at the NASDAQ. Back to you.
All right. Thanks very much, Shibani. Let's head over to Chicago and check in with Suzanne Bodlovic. She's an independent trader at the Chicago Mercantile Exchange. Good morning, Suzanne. All right. Things are open. What do you think?
Well, you know, the markets, the S&P futures right now are just hovering. We had a big gap open this morning. You know, I have to agree, this market right now, we're looking for the ISM, the manufacturing number. If it comes in a little hot, that's going to be poor for the markets. Right now, it's expected to come in at 50.8. 50 is the cusp of the gauge there, and so we're looking for that. And again, at 1 o'clock, the FOMC meeting. And looking for the S&Ps to trade above 1481 would be a good bullish sign. In the longer term, looking for 1491.
All right, terrific. Thanks so much, Suzanne. Now it's time to get our 7 early movers, and for that we turn to Fox Business Stocks editor and birthday girl, Liz McDonald, and Fox Business contributor Charles Payne. What do you have for me?
Hey, thank you so much, Alexis. As Shibani mentioned earlier, that Qualcomm decision by that federal judge is hurting the stock in pre-market trading down around 4%. Basically, the judge is saying that order the San Diego company to stop making and selling certain cell phone chips and software that are said to infringe on 3 patents that Broadcom holds. But the out here for Qualcomm is it has a year to work around the injunction and get up to speed. Still, the market is saying Qualcomm avoid it today because it's getting slammed. The other stock we're watching today is Verifone. Now, Verifone makes very important technology for point-of-sale transactions. It's had an accounting problem on its hands. It overstated, apparently, its earnings by about 80% for the last 9 months. And Verifone is saying it will have to delay its annual filing up into March. It earlier said it was going to post its annual report with the SEC a bit earlier than that. Negative news for Verifone, hurting that stock today. And finally, Citigroup. Sanford Bernstein out with a new report saying write-downs could total not $11 billion as previously expected, but $12 billion. And it's saying that Citigroup will possibly post a loss for the fourth quarter of $3.3 billion. Hopefully, this won't be a slow drip situation where you see the negatives coming out of the financials quarter by quarter by quarter. In other words, hopefully they'll get the write-downs out of the way so they can move forward.
Get rid of this water torture effect that it's had on the stock market. Yeah.
That's right.
Well, you know, speaking of Citi, Alexis, they upgraded Amazon, and of course they said it was a core internet holding, but you have to remember too, a week ago, Amazon said they had a fantastic Christmas. In fact, I haven't heard any other company, brick and mortar or internet, as positive as Amazon on their holiday sales. So that stock should be higher. The new target on it by Citi is 119. Also, taking a look at First Solar. I know I'm talking solar all the time. I sound like a broken record, but today I bet of the top 10 percentage gainers in the market, 5 will be solar stocks. One of them was upgraded. First Solar, the new target, $345 a share. And the lesson for you folks out there who don't like to buy $100 stocks because they're expensive, don't worry about that stuff. Buy stocks that are working out. Another one I'm looking at is Apple. Apple's market share continues to grow. They also have a deal with 20th Century Fox. And that same deal, which is a movie rental deal, they expect to announce the same deal with Disney perhaps this week or early next week. And finally, LDK Solar, another solar play. They just gave guidance for 2008. Tremendous guidance. That stock's going to be up at least $5 at the open.
All right, guys, I like that. Thank you for the 7 early movers. All right, it is time now for round 5, and I have a few predictions of my own for 2008. I'm going to let you guys weigh in. Number 1, I think the U.S. dollar rebounds this year. Guys, give me yes or no. What do you think?
Yes.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Robert, that was a yes. Adam, what about you?
No, the Fed's going to keep cutting interest rates, so no, the dollar's not going to get stronger.
All right, my second one, mergers and acquisitions have a blockbuster year, in part because of the capital gains tax and carried interest. If they change in 2009 or don't continue, I think this is the year you do deals. Aaron, what do you think?
I think you're right. I think there's going to be a lot of strategic deals. I think private equity is obviously taking it on the chin, but the strategic buyer is going to make a comeback this year, especially cross-border deals.
Connell, what do you think?
It's not yes or no task, by the way. I say...
That was yes.
Right. I figured. No, I love you, Alexis, but I think it's a blockbuster's a stretch, I think.
All right. What do you think, Ray? How about you?
I think you're absolutely right, and Connell's absolutely wrong. I think with the tax thing, the possibility of a Democratic White House and Congress, people are going to want to get these big deals done, particularly the ones that have big tax implications. They're going to want to wrap them up by the end of the year.
And, Robert, what sectors do you think? I mean, I clearly think we're going to see some serious consolidation in the financial sector. You think that's an area of interest?
Absolutely. And the Journal had that article about the Carlyle Group looking at financials potentially, and traders already saying this morning that there's a lot of buzz about that on the street.
Adam, what about consolidation in home builders? You're out there on the trail about this housing issue.
It's going to have to happen, especially the new home builders. It's already happening, and people are very concerned about the slowdown in sales, so there will be consolidation. Efficiency will come out of it, and then we'll pick up.
I'm taking that as a 4 for 5, and Connell's the only one who disagreed with me on number 2. All right, my number 3 prediction of the year is that oil sinks to $70 a barrel. We are lower than we are now, a year from now, and that all this talk about oil being north of $100, you know what? We've overdone it. Connell, what do you think?
I think we will go north of 100 in the near term, but I think you're right about this, that there are probably a lot of sellers kind of hanging around somewhere around 100, and we do push back. I don't know if it's 70, but yeah, somewhere close to that probably sounds reasonable.
Ray, what do you think?
I don't think we get as low as 70. I think we do come off it, but I think we have to get used to it being in the $80 a barrel. Demand is just so high worldwide now that this is what happens when there's strong demand, as the price goes up.
All right, Aaron, you're shaking your head.
Yeah, I'm taking the over on oil prices in 2008. Because we already talked about Nigerian rebels attacking installations. OPEC has no spare production capacity. They really can't raise production, as people speculate that they will at some point. And of course, you have Putin and Chavez and Venezuela and Russia controlling the spigots, and I think oil prices continue to stay high.
All right, so you disagree with me on that one. All right, Robert, what do you think?
I think we're hanging in the 80s.
All right, well, that's not bad. At least, it proves the point that we might be going lower. Adam, what do you think?
Energy bill here in Congress, and the president's going to sign, going to have no impact on oil. It's going to go up. We compete with the Chinese and India now for oil, and they've got so many people who are going to be driving. We're going to be paying a lot for oil.
All right, here's my fourth prediction. The economy is the #1 election issue right now. 6 months ago, it was the war on Iraq. It was the war on terror. I think for the campaign this year, the #1 issue that wins you the White House is the economy. Adam, what do you think?
You are correct, and there are surveys that show it is the economy. The Democrats were thinking it would be Iraq, but they caught on pretty quick. It's the economy, and that's what you're going to hear about.
Ray, what do you think?
Well, I think you're right. The problem is they're going to have to lie about the economy, because I think on the campaign trail, they're going to be playing down. They're going to say the economy's far worse than it actually is. So the trick is going to be for voters to separate the wheat from the chaff when it comes from the truth.
Robert, what do you think?
Yeah, and we sort of saw that last time in '04 as well. The healthy economy actually turned out to be better than they thought during the campaign season. I think it's going to be weak now, but by the time we get around to the actual election, it's going to be showing signs of strength. So it's going to be, they're going to have to show a way forward, if you will, beyond that, because it's going to be stronger than they're saying it is now.
Aaron, you're shaking your head. You agree?
I do agree, and I think the interesting story of the election so far is the economic populism of Mike Huckabee as part of his popularity, in addition to his Christian background, and John Edwards as well. His message of economic populism is resounding with a lot of the Democratic voters.
And the ones who get that right are definitely going to be in good stead. What do you think, Connell?
I agree. I think it helps probably somebody like a Romney on the Republican side because of his financial background at Bain Capital and whatnot. I don't know who it helps for the Democrats if the economy's #1.
Well, it may not hurt Hillary. She's had some experience working over at the White House with the husband. All right, what about #5? I know you're going to love this one. I say that the Patriots are not going to reach the Super Bowl. It tarnishes the undefeated record this season, and they don't make it. Agree or disagree? And if you disagree with me, who makes it?
Who beats them?
The Indianapolis Colts.
Oh, the Colts are good. I don't think they have the defense. I know you didn't call on me, but I'm going anyway. I don't think the Colts have the defense to beat them this year, but I do. If they lose, I think it'll be in the Super Bowl, and I think the Packers with Charles Woodson and all the defensive backs they have in Green Bay, maybe they cover Moss better than anyone else.
They gave up 35 points to the Giants, so anybody can beat them at this point.
All right, so then so you agree with me, right?
I agree wholeheartedly.
All right, I like that, Aaron. What do you think?
Jacksonville could beat the Patriots, especially with a bad weather game, because the Patriots are so reliant on the pass. However, I think they're going to make the Super Bowl, and I think they are going to win the Super Bowl, because you don't go 16-0 unless you're doing something really, really right in the NFL.
But it's been getting a little sketchy toward the end of the season.
They're definitely beatable, but I think Tom Brady and I think that defense and Bill Belichick, I think they're going to do it.
All right, Robert, what do you think?
I hate to bet against them, and you watch them beat the Colts in Indianapolis, a game that Indy had in hand. So you like Harrison back. I think Indy could knock him off, but I think Roger Goodell really would love to see, as Connell pointed out, Brett Favre go out on top beating the Patriots in the Super Bowl, and that would be the dream for the NFL.
All right, for the Colts, payback is sweet. This is like last year, same situation. All right, but Adam, what do you think?
Well, I think if you ask fans of the 1972 Dolphins or even members of that team, they would all tell you that the Patriots are going to win.
All right, guys. Well, that's it with my first 5 predictions. I'm going to give you the second 5 predictions to round out the top